Yeah, well, I think one of the interesting questions is around whether there's actually so much of a conflict between these ideas of people becoming more connected and this fragmentation that you talk about. I mean, one of the things that it seems to me is that in the 21st century, in order to address the biggest opportunities and challenges that humanity has, right? So I think it's both opportunities, spreading prosperity, spreading peace, scientific progress, as well as some of the big challenges, right? Addressing climate change, making sure that, on the flip side, that diseases don't spread and there aren't epidemics and things like that. We really need to be able to come together and have the world be more connected. But at the same time, that only works if we as individuals have our economic and social and spiritual needs met. And so one way to think about this is in terms of fragmentation, but another way to think about it is in terms of personalization, right? And I just think about when I was growing up, one of the big things that I think that the internet enables is for people to connect with groups of people who share their real values and interests. And it wasn't always like this, right? Before the internet, you were really tied to your physical location. And I just think about how when I was growing up, I grew up in a town of about 10,000 people, and there were only so many different clubs or activities that you could do. So I grew up, like a lot of the other kids, playing Little League baseball. And I kind of think about this in retrospect. It's like, I'm not really into baseball. I'm not really an athlete. So why did I play Little League when my real passion was programming computers? And the reality was that growing up, there was no one else really in my town who was into programming computers. So I didn't have a peer group or a club that I could do that. It wasn't until I went to boarding school and then later college where I actually was able to meet people who were into the same things as I am. And now I think with the internet, that's starting to change, right? And now you have the ability to not just be tethered to your physical location, but to find people who have more niche interests and different kind of subcultures and communities on the internet, which I think is a really powerful thing. But it also means that me growing up today, I probably wouldn't have played Little League. And you can think about me playing Little League as that could have been a unifying thing where there weren't that many things in my town, so that was a thing that brought people together. So maybe if I was creating or if I was a part of a community online that might have been more meaningful to me, getting to know real people, but around programming, which is my real interest, you would have said that our community growing up would have been more fragmented, right? And people wouldn't have had the same kind of sense of physical community. So when I think about these problems, I mean, one of the questions that I wonder is maybe fragmentation and personalization, or finding what you actually care about, are two sides of the same coin. But the bigger challenge that I worry about is whether there are a number of people who are just left behind in the transition, who were people who would have played Little League but haven't now found their new community and now just feel dislocated. And maybe their primary orientation in the world is still the physical community that they're in, or that they haven't really been able to find a community of people who they're interested in. And as the world has progressed, I think a lot of people feel lost in that way, and that probably contributes to some of the feelings. That would be my hypothesis, at least. I mean, that's the social version of it. There's also the economic version around globalization, which I think is as important. But I'm curious what you think about that.
About the social issue, well, online communities can be a wonderful thing, but they are still incapable of replacing physical communities, because there are still so many things that you can only do with your body and with your physical friends. And you can travel with your mind throughout the world, but not with your body. And there is a huge questions about the costs and benefits there, and also the ability of people to just escape things they don't like in online communities, but you can't do it in real offline communities. I mean, you can unfriend your Facebook friends, but you can't unneighbor your neighbors. They are still there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take yourself and move to another country if you have the means, but most people can't. So part of the logic of traditional communities was that you must learn how to get along with people you don't like necessarily, maybe, and you must develop social mechanisms how to do that. And with online communities, I mean, and they have done some really wonderful things for people, but also they kind of don't give us the experience of doing these difficult but important things.